Welcome back, students. Welcome new students and returning second-year students from all of our sending schools. Our teachers, our staff are very excited to have you back again. I'm going to ask you to please pay attention to this short, about 12-minute long video, which will go through some of the safety and general protocols you'll need to know in order to be able to enter our building. There will also be a second half of this video, which will go through the grading and some of the other academic parts of the student handbook, which you'll want to know about for this year as well. But there are some things we just need to know in order to get started. So here we go as we look at the beginning of our year. Just first of all, this is a slide we show every year talking about what we're looking for from our students. I don't think there's anything surprising here, but it's going to be more important than ever that we are respectful, considerate of others, just being workplace ready as much as we can in everything we do. You're going to be asked to make some small sacrifices this year, which will allow us to all be here together. And even if the rules of the Huot look a little bit different than the rules of your sending school, we would ask you to please listen to your instructors, listen to the staff here. We are doing this so that we can be here, be safe, and get you the skills which you want to move forward your career. So as long as you take responsibility and do your part, we're going to have a great year, and we'll be able to stay here in person for a really long time, is what we're hoping for. So maintaining a safe campus has always been a priority at the Career Technical Center, just simply based on the nature of what we do. It's even more important this year as we go to some uncharted territory. The Huot Center and Laconia School District are phased in through September 25th. What that means is for the first about 2.5 weeks of school, we are reducing class sizes. You should have received communication from your home high school about what days you will be attending the Huot Center. While we love to see our students all the time, we are going to ask you to please follow that schedule and to not arrive on days when you're not scheduled to be here. That is going to be important to keep our classroom sizes a little bit lower as we adjust to these new routines. It also means you'll get a little bit more individualized teacher attention during these first days as well. And the Huot Center is, we are only in person. We are not doing a remote hybrid at the same time. We may at some point in the future have to go fully remote. That is something we hope to avoid, but for the start of the year, we are in person. So one of the big changes, of course, which are happening in schools across the country is we are asking students to use masks when they are in any kind of common area, in any situation where they can't be 6 foot apart safely. Teachers, staff will let you know when you are in a situation where that 6 foot distance is assured. Sometimes 6 foot can be a little bit longer than we think it is. One of the great things that the Huot Center does have working for us is we do have a newer building. We have great ventilation. We have large spaces. We have new spaces. And there will be times in your school day where we will be able to get to 6 feet apart, which is fantastic. But it'll be very important, especially in any passing times, getting on and off of those buses. The only way we're able to do that is through the use of those face masks. If you do forget yours, we will have some extras here which you can use. And again, this is not an optional thing. Obviously, if you just forget to put it back on as you're getting ready to transition, a staff member will give you a reminder. But this isn't going to be something where we can really have a lot of variance on this rule. You do have to wear them when it is the appropriate time. We're going to see students to go directly to their HTC program areas. Not hanging out in the hallways. Bathrooms will be closed during transition times. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But we may have to have a group of students just wait on their school bus for a couple minutes, and then we will direct you when it's time to come in, because we need to get the students out of the classroom, do some basic cleaning before we bring in the next group of students. This will also mean that some of the bell schedules will be a little bit different. In general, sending school students may be leaving a minute or two earlier than the Laconia High School students in order to make those transitions work. The bottom line is please listen to your instructor, listen to any announcements we're making so that you know where to go. When you show up to school, you will also see that some doors are marked as entrances, some doors are marked as exits, and you'll see directional markers on stairwells and on floors telling you where you need to go. So look for those when you arrive. We're doing this to try to avoid crossover of people going in 2 different directions when we have a large number of students moving through the building. Students and staff as well. We'll also be asked to do a daily health screening. This is a document which is online. It's on our website. It's on every Laconia Schools District website. It's probably very similar to what you have seen across the country. And basically it's asking yourself some questions about what have you done for travel? Have you had interactions with people who have had COVID-like illnesses? How are you feeling today? And if there are any questions, the typical response this year is going to be you probably need to not come to school. We're going to be having much higher threshold for illnesses this year. If a student does arrive and they are displaying symptoms which could overlap with COVID-19, which unfortunately do overlap with other more common illnesses, you will be evaluated by the nurse. And if it is seen that there's a concern, you may need to go home or get picked up. So very important we have up-to-date contact information from you. We do need to schedule you a ride to get picked up from the Huot Center. We will have hand washing locations throughout the center. We have hand sanitizer throughout the center. In terms of bathrooms, you will be permitted to go to the bathroom from your class, of course, just not during passing times. Teachers will only be sending out one student at a time. Our bathrooms are large. They have room for 2 people, 6 foot apart, which is very good. You will need to be wearing your mask, though, in the bathroom areas. And there will be places marked out on the floors outside of the bathrooms. If for some reason you get there and there's already both of the 2 stalls are filled, there will be a place for you to wait until one of them become available for you. And again, we'll be using those floor circles, which I'm sure you're familiar with at this point in time. So those are kind of some of the general health safety things we're doing this year. Biggest thing, though, is please listen to your instructor, please listen to the Huot staff, and just please be mindful of updates which may come through on occasion. So transportation is a little bit different as well. And this is one of the reasons why I needed to get this information out to you now. We will have more students using personal vehicles, but our preference always is still to have a student on the bus. When you're transporting a large number of students, from a road safety perspective, obviously the school bus is a place where we want students. We understand some folks have health reasons which make that a higher risk for them this year. We will work with your schools to address those kind of concerns. You may also have situations where your school does not have capacity on the bus or is not running a bus. And in those cases, we will again be working with your school to make that happen. The release forms this year will not come from the Huot Center because this is not like a field trip or something you're doing with us. This is you not opting out of the transportation provided by your district or that is not being provided by your district at that moment in time. So what we've asked every Sunday school to do is to come up with a release form which they will have students complete. They will then give us a list of those students who are driving, and when you arrive on the first day, we'll have a parking permit available for you. If you are a student who is driving, we're going to ask you to stay in your car until it's time for you to come into class. We really can't have large groups of students kind of waiting outside the doors to come in. So you'll get those times. Those will be sent to you in emails prior to the start of the year. Also, your sitting schools will have those as well. You want to arrive a couple minutes early, but probably not 10 or 15 minutes early. We are looking at some technology which may allow us to communicate directly to you through your radio. So stay tuned on exciting information with that. But buses, cars, we're going to have a lot more movement on campus. I want everyone to please be very mindful to please listen to staff as we try to direct you to keep everyone safe with more vehicles on our campus than normal. And so the last thing I want to talk about kind of in this first portion of the video related to arriving is looking at kind of just a big overview of the school. And what you're looking at here is Laconia High School and the Huot Center from an aerial view. The larger space over here is Laconia High School. The Huot Center does have programs in the back wing of Laconia High School. And we also have our main Huot building over here, which also has programs in it as well. If you are in a bus, your bus will drop you off either here at our LHS wing door, which has a ramp on it, or down here in the passageway between Laconia High School building and the Huot building. You'll get dropped off in one of those 2 locations, and you'll go directly into the doors marked, and you'll see hallways and things are marked according to which direction you should go. If you are a student who is driving, you'll be down here in our HTC student parking lot. We may later in the year need to add additional overflow parking, but for the beginning of the year, we should be able to comfortably park everyone here. You can access this from Dewey Street. And again, please stay in your car until it's time for you to go to class. When you exit, students in the LHS wing, you'll be doing something different than last year. Second year students, you will actually be leaving from your program area doors. All of the programs in this wing, except for biotech, have program area doors, which they can exit from directly to the exterior of the building. This will reduce any cross traffic. I would ask you to please be mindful, again, of moving school buses in this area as you're exiting the building. In the main Huot building, you'll be exiting at this end near our student parking lot, near the dining room, which you'll become familiar with. And the school buses will come through, pick students up at the top, drive down, come through this parking lot, and do a second pickup down here. And we're going to try to make this very smooth and efficient so we can get you back to your sending school as quickly as possible. Again, thank you for paying attention to this video. There's a second part which will go to the academic portion of our student handbook. If you have questions, please reach out to us as well. The most important thing as well is please make sure you are checking your student email, and parents as well. You may be getting emails that say they're from Laconia School District. I understand some of those have not been information which is relevant to you, but if you've seen the subject line, anything about Huot Technical Center, that is probably going to have some critical information for you, which you'll want to know around those exact arrival times and any last-minute changes which we have to make. So thank you for that. Please continue referring to our website for updates on this, and stay tuned for part 2 of our student handbook video. Hey there, and welcome back for part 2 of our handbook presentation. Let's take a moment and talk about grading. Grading at the Huot Center is very traditional, standard grading, A's, B's, C's, etc. on a 0 to 100 scale. 65 is passing. 80% of your grade is going to be based on lab assignments, quizzes, tests, homeworks, things of that nature. 20% is based on our CCRS rubric, however, which are industry skills, sometimes referred to as soft skills or essential skills, very important to our employers. Our CCRS rubric is something which we worked on a lot, and will be something which you'll talk about frequently in class as well. We may modify this just a little bit for remote learning and for the new kind of normal we have for right now. But our big skills are commitment, communication, collaboration, and care. Your teachers will be talking to you about this. They'll be giving you training on how to improve in these areas. And again, it will count as part of your overall grade at the Huot Center. The other thing I want to say about grading is we are traditionally a full year program. We have a couple semester classes, but most are full year. We operate on a quarter and semester basis with exams at the end of each semester. If you decide that you're going to withdraw from a Huot program, just so you know, if it's after the add drop period, there is typically a withdrawal code added to your transcript. That is something which you want to be mindful of. So once you are committed to our program, we do want to see you for the entire rest of the year. So applying for a second year, we'll talk about this in much more detail once we get about halfway through the year, but starting around the beginning of the third marking period, you will get your second year application. It is a more exhaustive application process when you came in for year one. We are looking for students who have shown very good progress towards their skills in the first year of the class, because this is going to be an advanced, more rigorous level of your Huot programming. Teacher recommendation, grade of C+ or better. Passing all academic courses, that's more just to make sure you're on target to graduate. Then we're probably not going to ding you for being a little bit low on one of your academic classes, but you do need to keep up with those academics in order to be able to fit the Huot into your schedule. We have this because we do have some programs where we simply have a limit on how many seats we have in year two. And with that, we want to have students who are demonstrating the highest level of commitment and interest in the program be the ones who are taking those second year seats. Again, we'll talk about this more as the year goes on. So attendance policy, this is going to look a little bit different this year, but in general, the Huot really is pretty serious about attendance. You need to be here to do a lot of the things that you want to do. And not knowing if we're going to have the entire year together, it's extremely important that the time we do have, we're making the most use out of. For a semester class, we have an 8-day limit. For a year-long class, it's a 16-day limit. And that does include both excused and unexcused absences. So, you go away for a family vacation, your parents call you in, that's still going to count towards our attendance total, which may be different than where your school is at. Now, that said, things like sick with a doctor's note, a bereavement, a college visit, any of those type of things are going to be what we call exempt, not excused, but exempt. And exempt means it doesn't count towards our attendance policy. We'll also be exempting more things this year, anything which is kind of COVID-19 related. If you're in quarantine, if it's a situation where your school is not providing you transportation, you can't get here, obviously we're going to have to take those things into consideration. So during the phase-in, for example, when your school is only 50% in, no, those days are not going to count against you in terms of our attendance total. But if you are out in the middle of the year and we're not sure why, then those days will count against you. Teachers should be reaching out to you, but we also expect students and parents, we would ask that you please check ALMA, our student information system, so you can know in advance if there's something that doesn't look right with your attendance for the year. We're also pretty serious about cell phones. This year there may be situations where you're using the cell phone as a tool in class, but it is 100% a privilege. It's not a right. It needs to be turned off. And who that phone call is coming from is kind of secondary. If your coach or your parent needs to get in touch with you during the school day, they should call the Huot main number. It's on our website. We would ask the folks not reach out to students, especially in emergency situations. If there's an emergency going on, we definitely want to know about that in the Huot office so we can be there to support you. So we prefer if folks are not texting in and calling into students during the class time. Again, please call us and we will make sure that message gets to that student, and then we also know what's happening as well. If your teachers ask you to take out the phone and use it, that's great, but otherwise, no phones. We don't want to hear them. We don't want to see them. That's a professional behavior which we want to make sure we're modeling appropriately. Dress code, just really briefly, each of your instructors will talk to you about the dress code for their program. Those could be specific protective equipment, hard-toed shoes, for example, safety glasses. In some classes, like dangling type of earrings and things don't work because we have safety concerns there. So that's why at the Huot, in addition to like general school appropriate attire, we do have some program-specific dress code, which we enforce the same way as if it was an entire school-wide dress code. Again, this is not anything new for you folks. We have juniors and seniors in high school. You cannot have tobacco products, alcohol products, any other kind of controlled substance within the school building. Obviously, there have been issues with the new thing is vaping. Some people have vape devices that are very expensive. Don't bring those to school because you could lose them. We, again, have kind of a zero tolerance policy on any of that sort of stuff. Please, especially important in a career technical center program, that you need to have your wits about you. We need to make sure that you're being safe for both yourself and for other people. So no controlled substances at all in the Huot Center. And if you're 18, that doesn't really change anything. You still can have it here on school property. Okay. Thank you so much. And it also would, of course, include in your cars and on the buses. So that is a really brief overview of our student handbook. The student handbook is available online for you to download. There may be some changes to that related to the current year situation. Any kind of addendum will also be posted online before the start of the school year. Your teacher will go through all this information with you in more detail, and if the situation allows, Mr. Robdow and myself will also go around and try to meet with every class. But some of the stuff were things that we thought you needed to know before you even showed up for day one. We look forward to seeing our Laconia students on September 9th and 10th, and our Sending School students potentially starting as early as September 11th, depending on which cohort group you're in. I know some of you we won't see till the 14th. If you have questions, please reach out to our main office. We'd be happy to try to answer any questions you have. Have a great rest of your summer, and welcome to the Huot Career and Technical Center. Thank you so much.